whenever it starts and it's magic. If the music is groovy and makes you feel happy like an old-time movie, I'll tell you about the magic and the free your soul.
Hi there. So this is part 3 of my Quid Pro Quo series. That's kind of what I'm calling it. I really didn't expect there to be a part 3, but the fact that I was hitting the 30-minute mark, I said, you know what, I have to cut this off. Otherwise, I was just starting to rush through what I was saying about people and saying about the points that I had. And I don't want to do that. That doesn't benefit anybody. So at least this way, it's a third part. I apologize for that. But it'll eventually be a mega one day, so think of it that way. And in the meantime, at least then I can kind of take my time and explain these things. But let's jump right into it. I was just about to go into why it is that this celebrity and this notoriety is so important in Hollywood. And to start bringing in all of these wonderful Hollywoodians who are really benefiting from Meghan. Let's jump into this. Jamie Kearns Lima. Lima Kearns? I can't get her name right. I think it's Kearns Lima. Meghan shows up to her event. This wasn't about publicizing the event. This was about publicizing Jamie Kearns Lima. Why? Because she was launching a podcast and writing a book. Now, people know about her. And the fact that you and I know about her, does that matter? Are we going to run out and buy Jamie's book? Are we going to run out and listen to her podcast? God, no. I did listen to about 5 minutes of one once, and that was it. No more. Absolutely, positively done. Oh, but I guarantee she will be on Confessions of a Female Failure at some point in time, because she also is a billionaire from a makeup business that she created. But why is she there? She's there because the people that are interested in the particular drivel that she talks about on her podcast, those people now know about her. They wouldn't have known about her otherwise, and they will now be reading her book and listening to her podcast. She got I think it was like 60,000 hits on her Instagram like the week after she was seen with Meghan. Why? Meghan sends the squad over. Go do your duty. Go do your thing. And that the squad going over and doing that is Meghan's superpower. She's got that squad that she brings to the table in any negotiation. That's like, her contract. She can bring that in. Hey, I can tell you. Here you go. 60K hits on the next Instagram post. All you have to do is show up and take a picture with me. Invite me to your shindig. I'll stand next to you. Get a photo. Next day, you'll have 60K people hitting your Instagram. At least. And that's a powerful thing in Hollywood that depends so completely on your notoriety and your your celebrity is how well you're known. And so the more for these people, that sort of credibility, that's all they need. They don't care if they have any actual integrity or morals or values or any of those things. No, none of that matters. They just have to be able to sit on a podcast and self-righteously tell the world how they think it's so important that they practice self-care, and everybody listens to them because everybody wants to be able to be as selfish as them. These spoiled, entitled, self-absorbed people give other people permission to be that entitled and self-absorbed. They make it okay because they're out there making millions telling people it's okay to be this way. That's why Jamie Kearns Lima, the one from the podcast, Whitney Hurd, and, I could go on. Well, how about the next one? She's another one who does it. This one's a peach. She just happened to go to Northwestern and somehow became friends with Meghan long after they were in Northwestern together. I don't think they ever knew each other in college, mostly because Meghan didn't actually go to Northwestern, but these two, all she had to do was, let Meghan fake a couple pictures with her in it, and lo and behold, she gets advertising right around the time of what? Well, her new book coming out, of course. And it always just so happens that something comes up between Lindsay and Megsy whenever Lindsay is publishing a book. So Lindsay published a book in January, and lo and behold, all of a sudden resurfaced the story of Meghan having been her maid of honor, which she never was, but she says she was. Whenever Lindsay has a book that's being published, out we see again these photos of Meghan and Lindsay together. Now, that may be a decent simulation of Meghan's face. Maybe if you just saw the face, you could say, yeah, that could be Meghan. But no way on earth is that Meghan's body. And we all know that. So we know Meghan was not, in fact, this person in this photo. And if she's not in the photo, why are they pretending that she is? Because she didn't know Lindsay. She didn't know Lindsay in college. Wasn't Lindsay's maid of honor. It's all a big game that they play. And the reason for it is because by doing this, by faking this photo, Lindsay now gets years of free advertising because every time she publishes a book, what does it say next to her name? Meghan Markle was her maid of honor. And so every time Lindsay publishes a book, they don't even need to speak to each other anymore. They're each benefiting from it because Meghan gets publicity when Lindsay publishes a book, and Lindsay gets publicity, gets to pull in and draw on Meghan's name every time she publishes a book. And her books are just like Jamie Kern's Lima's podcast and her books, telling you how to love yourself. I mean, how many people, these people must really hate themselves because they all need to write a dozen books telling everybody how to love themselves. Personally, I think the problem is they all love themselves too much. But that's just my opinion. I mean, just think about the one yesterday. Well, I say yesterday because yesterday was when I reviewed it. But in the podcast, Whitney Heard, her entire thing was all about how, oh, you need to care for yourself. You need to love yourself. It's all about you. Because when you take care of you, you can do better. Yeah, you know what? If you have nannies and staff and this and that, I'm sure someone is there to pick up the pieces of the family when you are off taking care of yourself. But for those of us that raised our kids without that, we didn't have that. So guess what? There wasn't a whole lot of time for self-care. And it wasn't that I didn't love myself. It was that I loved my children more. And I guess that's really kind of the bottom line with these people is none of them understand that because their kids are their accessory. They're the thing that proves they have, done it all. They have managed to have it all. They're career women at the top of their game, and they have a loving husband and 2 adorable children. Speaking of children, let's move on to this winner. Here we have this little girl. And I'm not even sure I know her name. I think it changes. I think she has a nickname I don't know. I'll get to that in a minute. But this little girl is the one we know as Lily Mountbatten, Windsor, Sussex, Markle, something like that. Well, this is the template for Lily. This is the real little girl who is the template for Lily. You can pretty much match the pictures up. Even, in fact, the Christmas card photo where they have that little cobblestone outside of their supposed driveway. Yeah, why? Well, because that's what the picture came from. The picture was on cobblestone. Now, this is the daughter of Stassi Schrader. Stassi Schrader, I think that's her name. Stassi. Now, people have asked me, well, why would this woman do this to her kid? Why would she let Meghan use her kid as the template? Well, the reason is because this woman doesn't care at all about her kid. Allegedly, in my opinion, do your own research and form your own conclusions. This woman sees her kids as her accessory that proves that she has done it all. And while she can fill her Instagram up with beautiful, loving photos of her and her child, the reality is, if you really loved your kid, you'd stop putting the camera in her face and putting her all over Instagram. And that's just my opinion, and I'm sure if you ask Stassi, she would say she loves and adores her little girl. I'm sure. it's just not quite the same version of adoring your little girl that I had for mine. I'm sorry, it isn't. But this woman has decided that her children are her props. I mean, do you see where this comes from? Do you see why she gets along with Megsy? Because she doesn't care how much she merches her kids. Her kids are the proof of her image. She has to show their pictures, just like Megsy. Because if she doesn't, then she's not the person she says she is. And then all of her lifestyle brand, and she's got a different type of lifestyle, but still has a brand about it. If she didn't have these kids, then she's not that brand. She's not who she says she is. So she has to show the kids because, like Queen Elizabeth said, seeing is believing. Unless you see the photos of her with the kids, you don't believe that she's a loving, caring mom. She let Megsy use her kid's image. The same reason that Lindsay Roth and Jamie Kearns-Lima and probably now Whitney Hurd. The same reason, which is they consider their followers on Instagram and their clicks and their views to be their worth. And if you have enough of them, you're worth a lot. And sadly, in Hollywood, a lot of times that's true. Those clicks and those hits and those likes and those subs, they equal a paycheck for them. And so the more of them they have, the higher their paycheck. So if all of us go over to Stassi's Insta and look at the photos of her daughter to see if it's the same as Meghan's daughter, those are all dollars for Stassi. And speaking of which, please don't go do that because I have done it. I have gone through and taken screenshots of just about everything this woman has done. If you want me to do a video on this, I have a lot of stuff. Please let me do a video on it. Don't go give her more clicks and views. I mean, she's already had enough. And like I said, she's merching her little girl in order to prove that she is a loving mom. And it bothers me a lot. Just because, for me, raising my kids was very different. And so, please. I mean, it would be like you. Anybody who's listening to me, I'm sure you would say the same thing. I would never have merched my kid this way. But at the same time, you can't really blame Stassi because look at what she's got as role models. She's got freaking Meghan Markle, who's a princess of the UK. She's out there doing it. What's wrong with Stassi doing it? Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not justifying Stassi by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm saying as a 20-something with 2 young kids, I get it. And she got her start as, I don't know if you know this, there's a bit of a story to it, right? So if you know the Real Housewives series, then you know Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And one of the people on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, one of the original ones, was the woman, I don't even remember her first name, but it was Vanderpump. And she owned, her and her husband, they are British, they own some very exclusive, expensive LA restaurants. And they did a spin-off series, which was all of their, young 20-somethings that worked in their restaurants. And they were all aspiring Hollywoodians, I guess, LA people. And it would have been a perfect place for Megsy 20 years earlier. But Stassi was one of the Vanderpump girls. And that's how she got into the public consciousness, was on this. I mean, kind of, it's like the LA version of Jersey Shore, only a little bit more classy. Only a little. Because they had more money to do the things that they were doing, I guess. But yeah, that's what it is this Vanderpump crew. And then she went out and she became her own brand. And her brand is that, she went from that and now she has it all. And like I said, I could do a whole video on her. If you want me to, let me know down in the comments. And I go through and I can show you how all the photos on her thing either were directly then translated into Lily, or in some cases Archie. And, she's got photos with her and her kid in corn mazes. Okay? So that'll tell you a little bit about it. So if you want that video, let me know down in the comments. about the Newcom patch, which Megsy merched. And because she's the Duchess of Sussex and the most hated woman in the world, she has turned that into a thriving business. Because I guarantee she got paid a lot for that. Because she took one pap photo of her wearing the stupid patch, and it was in every newspaper. And not just that it was in the newspapers, people were talking about it. And if someone in the Megxit community hadn't noticed the patch or whatever and done the research and looked into it, or whatever it was, I forget, when it was originally just in the pap photo before it became an ad for Newcom, if someone had not found it, I guarantee a squatty would have pointed it out so we would have seen it, so then we would have talked about it. We follow through like sheep. And don't misunderstand. I'm not excluding myself from that sheepiness either. I do it too. That's why when people last week were getting upset with Britney and buying the jam, I mean, big deal. We all give money to Megsy every day, whether we want to or not, just by talking about her. Just by giving her that notoriety, which she can then merch. She merches her hatred, the hatred of her. Which is why when she sits there on South by Southwest and talks about, oh, poor me, whoa, was me, I was so abused. No. She's made a thriving business out of it, so I feel no empathy for her about it. Not that I did before, but I certainly don't now because I see what she's doing with it. And if not for that hatred, which she reminds us of, so we continue to tell her how ridiculous she is, so we keep her in the news. And again, I'm not excluding myself from any of this. I'm as guilty as the next. And, there's a very subtle difference between what Megsy does and what, say, Catherine does. Or what you would even say what Meghan used to do when she was a member of the royal family. And the difference, there's two differences. Difference number one is there is a difference between wearing a bag, which you're going to wear a bag either way, and supporting, say, a local national designer and trying to spread UK products and UK designers. There's a nobility in that, which is what Meghan used to do and what the royal family still does. It had a purpose, it had a goal, it had a cause. But even more important is the fact that Meghan didn't benefit financially from the Strathberry bag, for example. This is just one that happened to be a very successful job on Meghan's part of getting a lesser known designer to, of the UK, I believe it's a Scottish company, for them to, get their start as becoming a very well-known British designer. But the thing is that Meghan didn't benefit financially from that, and neither does Catherine. And to the point that they don't even accept the goods for free. They pay for them, and then still, it's all about giving to these designers. Now, as a result, do I think that these designers, I can't remember the name of them. I know, I want to say Jenny something. I don't know. Pick a designer, say that Catherine is very famous for wearing. And I'm totally spacing out about it right now. I know there's one at the tip of my tongue. But the designer will, over time, no doubt, pick things that will make Catherine happy. Like they will, conform their, maybe a dress in their line for something that they know Catherine likes blue. They know she likes A line. They will try and accommodate her likes and dislikes when it comes to fashion. But they're still not giving her the clothes. They're still not, paying her to wear them. And that's the difference that Meghan wanted. Meghan wanted to be paid for wearing the Newcom patch. She's not wearing it for, the good of Newcom. I mean, she is, but she's getting compensation for it. And that's the really key difference is that that's what Queen Elizabeth meant when she said you can't make it a commercial, make a commercial venture out of your titles. You can't merch yourself and get paid and get compensation for it just because you're a member of the royal family. That cheapens the royal family. So what did Meghan do? Meghan went to the US and she's doing it anyway. She's got her half in and half out. She's got the title and she's making money off of it. Does she still get to go on the balcony? No. And let me tell you, she doesn't care. She doesn't want to be there. She's happier not being there. The fact that she doesn't have to interact with people who hated her and who she hated, it's a win-win for her. She's got better than half in, half out because she doesn't have the responsibility. One thing that Meghan likes to do is she likes to compare herself to other members of the royal family and say, along the lines of, well, they're using their titles. Well, she doesn't understand that there's a big difference between, say, Fergie, who I'm no great fan of, so it's not like I'm going to defend her unless there's a good reason. There's a difference between Fergie writing a book and using her name, Sarah, Duchess of York, and Meghan using her name, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, to merch this Newcom patch. All Meghan did to merch the Newcom patch is walk down the street and get her photo taken. That's a lot different than Sarah, Fergie, writing a book and using her name. There's an aspect of work and there's an aspect of doing something, producing something. Not merely making money or the entire endeavor isn't based solely on her just walking down the street. That's what Meghan wanted. Meghan wanted to walk down the street, wear the patch, show her wrist, which, for her, I have to work to do that. And she really believes that. Between, walking down the street with a patch on her arm and writing a book. Or, I believe she was compared herself at one point to Princess Anne's son, where he has a business. I think it's a milk business or something like that. Well, he has a business. He's doing work. He's not only giving his name to the company to use, to benefit. He's investing in a company. And that's a huge part of the difference that Meghan just doesn't understand, why her methods of merching or making money are not the same as what the royal family looks to do. And that's not even getting into the fact that Meghan was doing it as a senior member of the royal family, working member of the royal family, who her job was supposedly to be a duchess. You don't need side jobs. You're taken care of, and anything else is seen as being greedy or wanting too much. It is in such sharp contrast to what she did, say, with the cesta bags. These are the bags that she was accused of the fact that, they make it sound as though these bags are benefiting these African women who are sitting there weaving the bags together, the material for the bags, when in actuality, it's, the women in Africa should be benefiting from the fact that their goods are being used to sell these, $1,000 bags, which are then, because the material is sent from Africa to Italy, when a designer takes it and then sells it to the elite. And the elite, meanwhile, think they're doing something great because they're, buying these bags that the material comes from Africa. Yeah, but they're paying them slave wages in Africa. So how are they benefiting these African women? They aren't. But these women feel, virtue signaling. They feel like they're doing something good, and they flaunt the fact that they're, this material was made in Africa. Yeah, but it's not like you're paying the $1,000 to the African women. You're paying it to the Italian designer. And Meghan was involved with this, and that's completely different. And Meghan, I believe, is an investor in this, right? So she's getting those profits of taking advantage of these women working in slave labor. And that's very different. The Strathberry designer, when she displayed that bag, Meghan didn't get anything out of this. I can't believe I'm not getting paid for this, right? She has to get something out of it. She has to see some sort of financial benefit, or it's not worth it for her to put her name to it. Of course, as a result, her name really means nothing to a large portion of the population, but we're just half of the battle. We're not her target audience. She's got a whole other part of the population that loves it, that loves her name and loves the cred and the publicity that her name can bring to their product or their cause or their business, whatever it is. And technically, isn't that what Lemonada did? I mean, they got her, podcast. They're not paying her a whole lot. I believe it's like, she's got a contractual thing, like a consultancy type thing where she only gets paid for every click. She gets like a portion of the ad revenue, kind of like YouTube, right? She gets a portion of Lemonada's ad revenue when she streams her podcast, unlike Spotify, which was paying her a salary up front, regardless of how the podcast did. She got her salary. Well, Lemonada is different, but they're just benefiting from the increased traffic to their website, because guess what? Then the next podcaster that comes along, they can say, well, come to us and set up Spotify. Look, we got Meghan Markle. It's all the creds that they use that otherwise nobody knew who the hell Lemonada Media was. And of course, Meghan pretends, oh, I'm supporting small female-run businesses. No, it's small female-run businesses that are the only ones who are willing to take you. And they're the ones as woke as you, so they don't see this whole disgusting game you've got going on as being a disgusting game, because they're just like you. In my opinion, allegedly. Do your own research and form your own conclusions. And then on top of it, they virtue signal. It's just stunning to me. This woman, I hate to say anything about it, because I did watch Meghan's With Love Meghan show, and actually I would say the episode with Vicky Say was the one I enjoyed probably the most, because she was very personable and very engaging and very knowledgeable about what she was talking about. And I'm not a very, new agey kind of person, but even I really enjoyed the way she was telling a story. I want to say telling a story, but that's not really right. It's that she was giving meaning to the way that she views the product as being an extension of her spirituality. And it was very engaging, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed Vicky Say. But you can't hide the fact that she showed up on Meghan's show to plug her line. She didn't do it for Meghan. She did it for herself. Wasn't like Meghan. She didn't take a harvest basket from Meghan or any of that nonsense. She's doing this. This is a business lunch. This is a business meeting. She gets to go on this TV show, and in exchange, she plugs her stuff. And if I could afford her skincare, it probably would have worked with me, because, like I said, I did actually very much so enjoy this woman and the way she told us the stories behind. That's it. She told us the stories behind how she came to do this and how much meaning this business has to her and all that. She was great. I enjoyed her. She was probably the best part of the whole freaking TV series. But she still was doing a job, and it was still her merching herself, which is a lot less objectionable than merching your kids. And why do I think the highbrow hippie will be either on the podcast or on the With Love Meghan? Because it's the same format, right? Meghan takes a picture with her, goes to her launch or her opening or whatever it is that this woman is there. She got publicity for that. And then she's going to go on either the podcast or the TV show, and she's going to plug her wares. And it's the same thing over and over. I would imagine, like, for example, Vicky Say or Delphina, who has the lifestyle blog, the As Ever, or With Love Meghan fit with that, whereas maybe the highbrow hippie as a founder is going to go on the podcast. Whatever works better for them. Meghan now has both platforms to share it, to offer it to them. Oh, I'll come to your opening. I'll come dress up, put you on the front pages, and then in exchange, you come on my show and get to merch yourself. But in the meantime, Meghan gets to have this show that has all these friends. You have to be on the show and you have to pretend you're my friend and that we're good buddies and we'll tell stories about each other, all of which are made up. I don't believe the cowboy story showing up on New Year's Eve. I don't believe any of it. Because it doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's about merching their products and getting their story out so that now, next time you go on Bumble, you'll be expecting Bumble to be a new and different platform where everybody's happy and nobody's just looking to have sex. Well, I even think Meghan has like tiers, you know? If you're going to come on, and tier as in TIER, you're going to come on my TV show, so I'll, show up at your premiere or your launch. But if you're not going to do that, if you don't want to do that and you don't have a launch and you just want your name in the paper, how about you just show an Instagram post of my jam? Because that's pretty much what this woman, Garcella Beauvais, did. And she's another one of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And again, I think all those reality shows are all big networking things. I got a whole theory on that one day. Maybe I'll tell you. That connects to the Markles. But this person, all she did was she put out, one of the jam photos, one of the 50 jars of jam. She put the jam on her Instagram. And, it just happened to be around the time that she was having trouble on The Real Housewives, which she ended up quitting and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't really pay attention to them, so I don't know the stories. I just get this from the articles that I read about this woman. And that's the thing. I went to find out who had the jars of jam, saw who had the jars of jam, searched for her photo, and got this whole story about how she was on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Because that's how the algorithm works. Now, this is something that I cannot prove. It's entirely theory on my part. But I have to wonder. This is Kerry Washington's birthday party, right? Now, it benefited Meghan to be seen with Jessica Alba and Kerry Washington because Jessica Alba and Kerry Washington are A-list celebrities, whereas Meghan is a D-list celebrity. This is when she deals with the entertainment people as opposed to the entrepreneurs. When she deals with the entertainment people, she's the lower tier. So, I have to wonder, did they let her come to this party in exchange for her giving them something? Kind of the opposite, right? Because the fact that a month later, this happened, and I'm sorry, I don't know who Kerry Washington is or what she's done or what, maybe she isn't an A-list celebrity, maybe she's B-list, but Jessica Alba is definitely A-list. But I don't know who this woman is or why she has a star on the Walk of Fame. But did her application get accepted because she let Megxie show up at her party? Because at the next Walk of Fame induction ceremony, look who won. Someone who showed up on all of Meghan's TV shows or all of her things. I don't even know what Mindy Kaling actually does with Meghan. I mean, I don't think they even know each other. I don't think they know each other at all. I mean, I've seen them on Archetypes and I've seen listened to them on Archetypes and now seen them on With Love Meghan. I don't think they know each other at all. And the whole thing with, her name or whatever, the Sussex. It's so funny that you're calling me Meghan Markle. Well, my name is Sussex now. Well, obviously your name isn't still Markle if you took your husband's name, but why isn't it Button Windsor? I mean, the whole thing was ridiculous, but it was entirely contrived. And I don't think the two of them are friends. I don't think they have anything in common, and I don't think they know each other. So the fact that these two women got these stars on the Walk of Fame right after doing something for Meghan, I gotta wonder. I really do. I have to wonder if there is a correlation. Now, the one thing that I think is separate is what Harry is doing. Now, I know the Royal Griff, whose opinion I very much so respect and value. I know she believes that Harry is here on an A1 visa. I believe he's on an O1. Now, the difference there is that the A1 will explain some of his diplomatic allowances, so to speak, whereas the O1 is going to explain all these awards Harry is going for. Because part of the O1 status visa is that it was intended originally for Hollywood actors, Oscar award winners, who would come to the United States to live for a period of time. Still just a visa. They're not becoming citizens. They're not here for good, but they're here for extended periods, and their careers clearly are going to be focused towards Hollywood. And additionally, part of the O1 visa is people who are actors are often traveling a lot, right? So they're going on location to do films. So they are going to need to have the ability to go in and out of the country at will. Something that Harry has shown an ability to do. So I personally think he's on an O1 visa, and I don't think the awards are a matter of publicity for the award. I mean, really, why would John Travolta or Jeff Bezos care about there being notoriety for the aviation awards? I mean, it's a niche award for wealthy people who fly planes. They don't need anyone to know about that they have it or that they exist. So I believe that the awards are a separate thing. And I believe it ties into that O1 visa because that's the loophole of the O1 visa that I believe Harry is exploiting. Because the O1 visa, as I said, it was intended for like an Academy Award winner or a Tony Award winner or a Grammy Award winner. People who would have their careers based in the U.S., even if they were, British or German or whatever. So part of the way to qualify for the O1 is to be an award winner, right? So, like I said, it was intended for people whose careers were here, even if they were from foreign countries, so that, the talent could be here, even if they weren't American. So I believe that the Tillman Award and the Aviation Award, I don't believe that those are instances where Harry is out there merching those things or giving them publicity in exchange for, him getting the awards or whatever it is. I don't think so for two reasons. Number one, I don't think Harry is doing this. Harry might be doing it in that he's going along with Meghan doing it, but he's not the one out there necessarily merching himself. He is still the royal, right? And so he is still maintaining a slight bit of integrity in his way of carrying his title. And I believe that these awards are to go towards that qualification for that O1 visa. I understand the Royal Griff disagrees with me. She thinks that it is an A1. And I understand why she thinks that, because he also has allowances that make you believe he must be on a diplomatic visa. But the thing is, he would have those under an O1 too. And that's why I believe he's on an O1. And that's why I believe he's doing the awards. So the only reason I'm including this, I'm not trying to say I'm right and Royal Griff is wrong. We'll probably never know which one of us is right. I'm just saying it because along with this subject, I kind of felt like I had to explain why these don't fit into what I'm saying, because they are other examples where Harry's inclusion obviously brought a lot of publicity to it, but whether or not it was a part of this kind of quid pro quo going back and forth between Harry, Megxie, and whoever it is that they are quitting or quoing, whichever way you want to put it. So I just felt like I had to explain why I think these aren't a part of it, but still fit into the theory. I guess mostly I can blame that on the academic in me, because if you're doing something in history, or if you're trying to prove a historical point, and there are aspects of a situation that disprove your theory, you have to explain why that's excluded, but doesn't disprove your theory. You have to kind of explain those things. So I guess that's probably why I felt like I had to explain how those awards are different, but still don't debunk the theory, I guess. So Again, that's the academic in me. So let me know what you think. I am anxious to hear your thoughts in the comments, especially after this is, the third of what was supposed to actually be one video. But I knew pretty quickly on that there were so many examples that it was going to be two. I expected it to be two. I certainly didn't expect it to be three. I mean, this one being probably the longest of them all. But I thought I did a pretty thorough job of showing how all these times, in the end, is Meghan really failing in Hollywood? I don't think so, because they are benefiting from her the same way we think that she's benefiting from them. It's very much so a city and a business and an industry and a culture that runs on you wash my back, I wash yours. You do this for me, I'll do this for you. And because of that, all these are examples of how she's doing that. And in a sense, she does do something similar to the royal family in that, for example, wearing a bag or jewelry or a sweatshirt or something like that that's going to advertise the company. The difference being when the royal family does it, they do it for the benefit of the company, not for their own personal financial benefit. And that was the missing link for Meghan. That was what she didn't like about being in the royal family, because she felt, I've felt that people care whether or not I wear a Strathberry bag, and I'm not getting paid for it. And that was the crux of it. So now that I've finished all three videos, I'm very anxious to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a great day, filled with love, laughter, and of course, dancing.
Dancing